I stared at the group chat again, my mother's message glowing like a neon sign. Ellie, don't bother coming to Dad's birthday dinner if you can't afford it. We don't want you embarrassed in front of everyone. The words hit me like a punch to the chest, not because they were unexpected, but because they were so predictable. That was the rhythm of my family. Insult first, explanation later, if ever. I had already known this dinner wasn't really about celebrating my father's life. It was about appearances. Always appearances. The expensive restaurant, the curated guest list, the performance of success. My family thrived on that illusion. They measured worth not in kindness or loyalty, but in how flashy you looked across a dinner table. I didn't respond in the chat. What was there to say? If I defended myself, I'd sound desperate. If I stayed silent, they'd take it as proof I didn't belong. Either way, they would win. The irony, of course, was that I could buy and sell the very restaurant they were bragging about. My work, the part of my life they never bothered to understand, had quietly built into something they couldn't imagine. I wasn't broke. I wasn't struggling. But I had learned a long time ago that explaining myself to them was like shouting into the wind. They only heard what confirmed their version of me. The failure, the disappointment, the one who never measured up. So when Mom sent her little dagger of a message, I didn't reply. I just closed the app, set my phone down, and let the silence settle. But silence is deceptive. It doesn't erase the sting. It only sharpens it. The day of the dinner arrived, and I sat in my car in the parking lot of the restaurant, my hands tight on the steering wheel. Part of me wondered why I even came. Was it spite? Hope? A desperate need for recognition that, no matter how many times I told myself I didn't care, still flickered like a stubborn flame? Inside, I could already picture it. My sister Vanessa holding court at the table. My brother Thomas tossing around financial jargon like confetti. My mother orchestrating the entire performance. And me cast as the extra, the cautionary tale of what not to be. I should have driven away. God knows I've done it before. But something about today felt different. Maybe because Dad's birthdays were the one tradition that used to mean something, back before everything soured. Or maybe because, deep down, I was tired of being written out of my own story. I stepped out of the car, smoothed my dress, and walked inside. The hostess glanced up with a smile. Good evening. Welcome back, Ms. Ellison. Your private room is ready. Right this way. The words stopped me cold. Welcome back? Private room? My mother's voice was still in my head, telling me I didn't belong. And here was this stranger looking at me like I was the most important person in the building. For the first time in a long time, I let myself smile. The restaurant's marble floors gleamed under soft golden lights, each reflection reminding me of the years I had walked into places like this and felt like an intruder. But tonight was different. Tonight, the staff treated me as if I owned the place. The hostess led me through the main dining hall, past tables of murmuring guests sipping wine, and toward the private wing reserved for high-profile clients. I caught glimpses of velvet drapes, crystal chandeliers, and waiters moving in synchronized elegance. Every detail screamed exclusivity. Right this way, Ms. Ellison, she said again, holding back a curtain that led to the reserved room. I stepped inside. There they were. My family. Vanessa perched in her designer knockoff, laughing too loudly. Thomas bragging about his latest investment. No doubt another risky venture disguised as brilliance. And my mother, her eyes darting around the room to ensure she was being noticed by every guest within range. Their laughter faltered when they saw me. Ellie, Vanessa said, her tone dripping with disbelief. What are you doing here? My mother's lips tightened. I told you this dinner is, well, it's not really within your budget. We don't want you feeling uncomfortable. Before I could answer, the maitre d' appeared at my side, bowing slightly. Ms. Ellison, your wine has already been decanted. Would you like me to bring it now? Or with the first course? The room went silent. Vanessa's eyes darted from me to the maitre d', like she'd just watched a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat. My mother blinked, her mouth opening, then closing. My father, seated at the head of the table, raised his eyebrows with interest. With the first course will be perfect, I said smoothly. as though this were the most natural thing in the world. The maitre d' nodded. Very good, ma'am. The chef also mentioned he's honored you chose to dine with us again. He's preparing the special you enjoyed last time. Vanessa's laugh came out forced, brittle. You've been here before? Many times, I said simply, sliding into the empty chair across from her. For once, I didn't need to exaggerate. My company had hosted events here, negotiated partnerships, and even considered acquiring the restaurant group when they were looking for investors. I'd spent evenings at this very table while my family assumed I was at home struggling to pay bills. Mom tried to recover, adjusting her necklace. Well, I suppose it's good you treated yourself. But tonight is about your father, not making a spectacle. The maitre d' returned with 2 servers balancing trays. They placed crystal glasses in front of me, pouring wine from a private reserve bottle I recognized instantly. It wasn't just expensive, it was rare, the kind of vintage only offered to valued patrons. Thomas whistled low. They don't just hand that out. No, I agreed softly, meeting his gaze. They don't. My mother shifted uncomfortably, sensing the ground beneath her narrative beginning to crack. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the outsider. I felt like the one holding the script. The first course arrived with a quiet grace, each plate laid before us like an artist unveiling a masterpiece. The aroma filled the room, truffle, herbs, and a subtle sweetness that lingered in the air. My father leaned closer, inhaling deeply. This is incredible, he murmured, his voice carrying a mixture of surprise and delight. The maitre d' smiled. Our chef wanted to create something special for the occasion. After all, it's Mr. Ellison's birthday. Dad's eyes flicked to me, curiosity settling into the lines of his face. You arranged this? I nodded once, a small smile tugging at my lips. Across the table, Mom stiffened. Ellie, we really didn't expect you to overextend yourself. These places are for people who can actually afford them, not. Her words stopped when the maitre d' gently interrupted. Everything tonight has already been taken care of, Mrs. Ellison. As always, Ms. Ellison's account is in good standing. The silence was sharp enough to cut. Vanessa tried to mask her shock with a smirk. Well, I guess miracles happen. Maybe you won the lottery? I let her jab hang in the air, choosing not to respond. The power wasn't in defending myself anymore. It was in letting them reveal their own disbelief. Dad chuckled softly, breaking the tension. Lottery or not, this is the best start to a birthday dinner I've ever had. His smile warmed me in a way that no luxury ever could. For him, this wasn't about status or wealth. It was about the thought, the gesture, the effort. But Mom couldn't leave it alone. Still, you could have told us. We wouldn't want the embarrassment of a declined card in a place like this. The maitre d' returned at that precise moment, carrying a polished envelope. He placed it delicately by my elbow. As usual, Ms. Ellison, we've noted your reservation for next month. Shall we confirm the same suite of rooms? I didn't miss the way Vanessa's jaw dropped, or how Thomas nearly choked on his wine. Yes, please confirm, I replied smoothly, tucking the envelope aside without opening it. Their faces told the story. Confusion, disbelief, and the dawning realization that the version of me they had clung to no longer existed. For years, I'd been the one brushed aside, the sibling who wasn't polished enough, the daughter who was too simple, the relative always reminded of her supposed limitations. And for years I believed them. But as I watched their discomfort grow, something inside me shifted. The shame they once wrapped around me like a cloak no longer fit. Dad raised his glass, looking at me with quiet pride. To Ellie, for giving me the best birthday surprise yet. I lifted my glass in return. Our eyes met, and in that single glance, I saw the years of neglect melt away, replaced by an unspoken bond. Mom looked away first, her pride battling with the truth she couldn't deny. I wasn't just capable. I was thriving, and they couldn't control the story anymore. The main course arrived, rich with flavor and served with a precision that made the whole room pause. Dad savored every bite, his happiness shining through in small, quiet smiles. For once, The table wasn't filled with criticisms or comparisons, just the soft hum of conversation, punctuated by the clinking of silverware. But I could sense the storm brewing in Mom. She wasn't used to silence unless she was directing it, wasn't used to watching me occupy space she believed wasn't mine. Finally, she leaned in, her voice sharp. "Ellie, why all this secrecy? We're your family. If you really had this kind of success, why keep it from us?" The words were heavy, but they carried a truth I had been avoiding. Why had I kept it from them? I set down my fork, letting the pause stretch just long enough for her to feel it. Because whenever I shared something before, it was never enough. My victories were minimized, my efforts dismissed. I stopped looking for approval in a place where it never existed. Vanessa laughed under her breath. Dramatic as always. But Dad didn't laugh. His eyes glistened, and for a moment, the years of distance between us seemed to shrink. "I should have seen it," he said softly. "How strong you were becoming. I'm proud of you, Ellie. Not for this restaurant or the account or the gestures, but because you found your own way even when we didn't give you the space to." Those words broke something open inside me. The approval I had once begged for came not from the grandeur of the moment, but from his recognition of who I truly was. The dessert arrived next, a towering confection adorned with sparklers, casting a golden light across the table. The restaurant staff gathered, singing softly, their joy genuine. When the song ended, Dad blew out the candles, closing his eyes for a wish. I didn't need to ask what it was. I could feel it in the peace radiating from him. Mom's lips were pressed so tightly they had nearly disappeared, while Vanessa and Thomas shifted uncomfortably, unable to reconcile the version of me before them with the one they had tried to define. And for the first time, I didn't care. Their discomfort was theirs to carry, not mine. As the night drew to a close, Dad hugged me with a strength I hadn't felt since childhood. "Thank you," he whispered, "for reminding me what family should feel like." When we stepped out into the cool night air, the city lights stretched endlessly before us. I walked with my head high, no longer the girl who second-guessed her worth. The restaurant had treated me like a boss, but more importantly, I had finally treated myself like one. The version of me they once overlooked no longer existed. And as we drove away, I realized this night wasn't just Dad's birthday. It was mine too, the birth of a self who no longer needed permission to shine.